Hi, I'm Jessica, and when I'm not drinking all the coffee, watching Razorback sports, or hanging out with my family of boys, it's my passion to help elementary music teachers just like you find your unique teaching style. My goal with this podcast is to share helpful tips, strategies, and to give you the motivation you need to gain momentum in your teaching so you can continue being the music teacher rock star you already are.
Okay, so this activity I'm going to share with you today is called Pass the Pumpkin. Now, this is not like a super original activity, and this may or may not be one that you have done before, but what I love to do is to have ideas, lessons that I have taught, and then I kind of create them and make them my own. I didn't mean to use the word create. I make them my own. And then also if it's a lower elementary activity or even preschool, I like to see how could I utilize this activity even for the upper grades? And so I'm going to give you some ideas for that. So maybe you have done this a game before or this activity, but I want to share with you other ways you can use this activity in your classroom that maybe you've never done before, okay? So if it is brand new to you, it basically just goes like this. Pass the pumpkin all around. Do not let it make a sound. Ooh, this is Halloween. And that's basically all it does. Over and over and over. So the first thing you'll do, so basically you can't see my lap, but I'm going to pat my lap. So the next thing you do after you kind of speak it to your students is you say, okay, everybody, we're going to find the steady beat. Even if you're doing this with older kiddos, because some of them still have a hard time finding the beat, let's be honest. So pass the pumpkin all around. Do not let it touch the ground. Ooh, this is Halloween. And then you could just keep doing it over and over. Or you could even say, okay, class, you keep patting the steady beat and I'm going to clap the rhythm. So they're still patting like this. Some of them will get confused and they'll try to join you, but that's okay. When they start looking around the room, they're going to see what everybody else is doing as they're patting the beat. So they're patting the beat while they're saying that, and then you're going to clap the rhythm. So pass the pumpkin all around. Do not let it touch the ground. Ooh, this is Halloween. Do it again. Pass the pumpkin all around. Do not let it touch the ground. Ooh, this is Halloween. Okay, then you say, okay, class, can you clap the rhythm with me now that you listen to me do it? 1, 2, together, go. Pass the pumpkin all around. Do not let it touch the ground. Ooh, this is Halloween. And you can have them repeated as many times as you want. Okay, so after you've done that, you pat the beat together, and then maybe they pat the beat while you clap the rhythm. If that's too confusing for them, then don't worry about that part. Just go straight to clapping the rhythm together. You've done that part. Now it's time to have them sit in a circle. Now, one of the easiest ways I found for students to make a circle, because I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but if you just say the words find a circle or make a circle to your students, the younger grades it just becomes this like little ants scurrying around. So, and you're going to get this, say hold hands, and you're going to see some kids just barely touching pinkies or not really touching their hands together. And that's okay. So the main goal is to make a circle. So everybody's holding hands, they all made a circle, and then you have them sit down. Okay. And we talk about personal space at crisscross applesauce. If your knee's touching someone else's knee, that means you need to scoot back 2 scoots. And then, so we've done all that. One thing you can do with this activity is instead of just speaking it, you can even turn it into a song. So you can even create it with your students. Okay, we've spoken the rhythm. How can we turn this into a melody? So instead of just, so maybe you just use like a few notes. Pass the pumpkin all around. Do not let it touch the ground. Ooh, this is Halloween. And then, or pass the pumpkin all around. Do not let it touch the ground. You see what I'm saying? You could even create a simple melody with that. That's totally up to you if you want to do that or not. But I enjoy doing that, turning speech pieces into music. And that's totally up to you if you want to. This activity, it can be as short or as long as you want it to be. That goes with anything you teach in your classroom. You can revisit it another day. You can just do it, one time and be done with it. You can extend the lesson to make it a little more musical if you'd like. It's totally up to you. It really is. Okay, so so let's talk about the game first, and I'm going to tell you how to kind of make the lesson a little bit more difficult for upper elementary. So everybody's in a circle. So basically you just do what the words say, right? Now, I would not suggest using a real pumpkin. Let's just be honest. If the thing falls, it's just going to make a huge mess in your room. So the easiest thing to use is just a beanbag. Borrow one from the PE teacher if you do not have one. So as you're passing the beanbag, which is the pumpkin, and the kids are going to say, this isn't a pumpkin, it's not orange or whatever. Well, after you get over all the comments, which will come, trust me, then basically you tell them all they do is they're passing the beanbag to the beat. And when the beanbag's not near them, they can still pat the steady beat. And you can slow it down. So instead of passing it like this, pass it to the quarter note, okay? Pass the pumpkin all around. Do not let it touch the ground. Actually, that might be the half note, sorry. So they're passing the pumpkin to the beat like that. You're going to practice a little bit before you actually do the game, because get them used to, when you say pass it, let's be honest. When you say the word pass it, think about how many kids you have that play basketball or football or any kind of ball. They're wanting to pass it. No. So let's, instead of you saying pass the pumpkin, even though that's what the words say, we're going to just lightly put the pumpkin. Say, put the pumpkin. Put the pumpkin, okay? Hand off the pumpkin. Trade the pumpkin. Whatever words you want to use so you get the point across that we're not throwing it. Okay, so basically you just go all the way around the circle. When we get to this is Halloween, anyone who has the pumpkin on the ween part of the word Halloween is out. So you basically just keep doing this until there's 2 people left. And that part gets tricky because then they're just handing the beanbag back and forth, okay? And then they're going to want to hurry it up. But basically you're like, no, you can get out if you're not keeping a steady beat. So there's 2 ways they can get out. If they're not keeping a steady beat, or if it lands on them on a certain word. You could also have students get out if they are not handing the pumpkin, if they're throwing it. So after you've played the game, you could even speed it up. Okay, you could even say, okay, this time the tempo, that's a good word to enforce a vocabulary word, is going to go faster. So instead of pass the pumpkin all around, we're going to go pass the pumpkin all around. Do not let it touch the ground. Ooh, or you could go slower. Pass the pumpkin all around. And kids love that. They think it's so funny to go fast or slow. You could also, instead of just speeding it up and slowing it down, you could do different dynamics. So now we're going to speak it loudly. Now we're going to speak it softly. And especially with your littles, as you're working on the different voices, this is a great activity to emphasize that. We're going to sing it. We spoke it. Now let's whisper. And when you do the shouting, if you don't want to do real shouting, one of my favorite things to do, instead of real shouting, you pretend shout. They crack up. They think it's hysterical. And so you could do the 4 voices as you're doing this activity also. So there's different ways with each activity you teach in your classroom to, incorporate teaching different objectives or different vocabulary terms into your lesson as you do it. So don't forget about that. That's easy to incorporate it. Okay, so we've done the game. It's pretty simple, but it's the simplest games I feel like the kids love the most, because you're ones who have a hard time keeping a steady beat in a rhythm. They feel like they can keep right up, and they feel like this is something they can do and that it's not too challenging, okay? So upper elementary, one of the best ways I love to turn, especially these little circle passing games, is to split the class into maybe 3 groups, and you do it in a round. So after you do pass the pumpkin all around, group 2 starts, pass the pumpkin all around, group 3 starts, pass the pumpkin all around. And then maybe it's nobody gets out, but maybe you just come up with different ideas. Okay, we've done it in a round. Now what can we do? Okay, you do a fast tempo, you do a medium tempo, you do a slow tempo. Do you see what I'm saying? You can still do the game, but make it more challenging. And then you can even actually have some kids playing the game while some play, like kind of make up a spooky, maybe a minor chord, ostinato on the xylophones, while some even with their voices go, ooh, ooh, ooh. There's so much you can do. Instead of just looking at a game going, okay, we played the game, check, I did it. No, add some things to it. Make it musical. Make it add instruments, add movement, add voices, add rounds, add music vocabulary. There's so much you can add to an activity to make it, to extend it even more, if that makes sense. Now, you don't want to extend it forever and like on week 2 go, or week 3, 4, 5 go, okay, let's do pass a pumpkin again. And today we're going to do tempo. The kids are going to be like, oh my gosh, do we ever do anything else in here? So no, when I say extend the activity, don't make it any longer than 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Don't make it any longer than it needs to be, because that's when you're going to start losing the kids' interest. That's when you're going to start maybe having behavior problems because they're kind of done with it. You'll be able to tell. You'll be able to tell when the kids are ready to move on. Okay? All right, you guys, I will talk to you soon. Have an amazing day. All right, bye.
Thank you so much for listening in to the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, I would love for you to review the show and leave a rating on iTunes. To find out more about how I can help you gain momentum in your elementary music teaching career, head to thedomesticmusician.com, where you'll find free downloads, courses, the blog, and so much more. Continue teaching music and never doubt the impact you're making each and every day in the lives of your students.